Hey guys, it's Jasmine here with Aesthetics Factory today, and I'm going to show you how to take great, amazing looking product pictures outside and on the inside. First, we're going to take a look at my indoor setup because this is what most people are going to find to be pretty convenient and you're not limited to a certain time of the day. I recently got this set up and it's in no way, shape, or form expensive or extra, what do we call professional. I always tend to be on the thrifty side. So any sort of information that I give you is normally gonna be generally what you can get for pretty cheap. So let me show you what my setup looks like. Here is my latest and greatest indoor Aesthetics Factory setup, okay? So let me walk you through what I have. Here is my clamp for the camera, okay? So whenever I'm shooting or filming, it has a really strong grip, as you can see here. It holds my phone perfectly well. If I want to record or talk or do anything like that, this is what this specifically is for. Then, I know this looks pretty fancy here, but these are my lights, and I actually got these for about 20 bucks at Walmart. They're very, very bright lights, and they don't give off that sort of yellow tint that I tend to hate in pictures. And then what I have here is actually two camera stands. And so I got these for both $20, not for 20, sorry, 15, and then the lights for 20. So basically you can get all set up with a nice little studio here for under 100 bucks. And this is just a piece of, I think it's not cardboard paper, but it's just basically a large piece of white paper that you can find at any sort of Michael's, Walmart, Target, anything of that sort. And it works really well. So let's get into taking the pictures. For the sake of showing you how this is going to work whenever you're using your camera phone, I'm going to use this to show you the types of angling that I like to do. And also how you can play with and manipulate the lights a little bit so that you can get the exact kind of picture that you want. So first, let's review, and I have this taped, by the way. So it's really, like I said, very, very doable for anybody. So I usually like to take straightforward shots like this of the product picture. I like to move it forward and a little bit further from the back because then you get a nice, clear, strong focus on the product, and the cameras generally tend to give you a blurred background effect that helps to really just hone in on your product. You can see all the great details here. And as you can see, if you tilt the phone, you can get a certain angle. Personally, this is not one of my favorites, but what I do like to do is move it down and tilt slightly upward. And this shot right here gives you a great angle to, it makes the product look the best way to describe it in my head is grand whenever you see it. You can do it like that. I have my phone horizontally and I have to hold it vertically. Basically, you tilt up and you do kind of the same and get in as close as you can, and you would take your picture. Now, one thing to note is that the lighting, it's pretty good. It's not as optimal as I'd like. So I'm gonna play around with the lights a little bit just to show you how you basically want to angle your lights. I'm gonna set the camera up here, okay? And let's see, actually, I need to flip you guys so you can get more of an idea of what's happening here. And for the lighting, you want to get in basically as close as you can. This one's kind of over a little bit while the other one's behind. And you move them in as close as you can. And there you have really optimal lighting. So I'm going to take us back and show you. They don't look too much different from how we started, okay? But I move the lights just around a little bit, enough like that. And you see how the lighting definitely hits better. So this is how I move things around for lighting. Now let's get into margins. If you have not seen my famous Michael's Trip video, let me know and I'll happily supply you with that link because you can find tons of different color paper backgrounds for cheap, and they make excellent product picture backdrops, okay? These are a few, and they can range from anywhere between, I'd say they start at maybe like 69 cents to like under $2. And it depends on what kind you get. They have different textures. Just all different kinds of things that you can get into. Even here, they kind of have like a cork kind of texture. It's just really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys, whenever you're using these pictures, how you would go about doing so and how the margins matter. So when we get into margins, what that really means is the space that you have to work with. Let me angle this up for you guys to see. So the angles you have to work with in terms of where the camera cuts off, like it does here on the other side. The camera cuts off. It doesn't seem to be a problem because we have one product here that we could easily crop, right? Because you are gonna have to crop your photos. But let's take a look at whenever we add in a background. And I'm just adding them in for context. Whenever you're selecting your backgrounds for your pictures, you can mix and match. Whatever color your product is, or whatever color theme you have, you can set up in a way that makes your product look pretty interesting. So for these ones, I push it back a little bit further. There you go. And then you just have your products. Let's say that this time we're doing multiple. Okay, so whenever you have product sets, this is why this is important and this matters. So you space them out nice and evenly, right? Now let's get into the way that you would take the picture. So you get nice in, you get your angled shot, the products look good. However, even though in person, you'll notice that they actually don't look like they're cutting off with the margins right here. Whenever you crop your picture, because you don't want this extra part to be in the picture or the white, it's gonna cut into your products. So it's really, really important to be mindful of your margins, okay? So you're gonna wanna move that into your shot. Same with this side. You're gonna have to find different positions for them. It just really depends on what you have intended for your shoot. But you see, like, for example, right here, if you crop it out, you won't be able to see the other parts, which is gonna be good. But you have a little bit of room to manipulate here. Just be mindful, because this is one of the things where you will have to do the shoot over again if you are not mindful of those margins. And another way to eliminate that, obviously, would just be to get rid of the papers, the smaller ones, and just find an overall bigger one for you to take your shoot. Now that we've covered a lot of the important little nuances that come with photography, we're gonna start getting into the shoot. So I used to take lots of pictures with my phone, but as time goes on, it was time to upgrade. I got me a camera. So I actually take great pictures with my Canon T7, I believe this is, and there's lots of other beginners cameras that are great too. But I just wanted to note this. You do not need a $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 camera to take great pictures. You can take amazing pictures with your camera phone, and you can also take some pretty awful pictures with a nice camera like mine. So just remember that and be confident in your pictures either way. It's honestly about the lighting and angles. Here we go. So just like the work we did with the phone, I'm basically gonna get in here with my camera and do this, okay? So I like to manually, for those that can't see it, it's right here. You guys won't be able to see the exact shots I'm taking, but you'll just be able to see kind of where I'm at with my hands and what I'm doing, just a little bit. So I'm gonna get in here, make sure that you adjust the clarity. And in case I didn't note this already, guys, make sure that when you are taking pictures, even if your camera's clean and it's been clean, it hasn't really been around everywhere, just give your lens a wipe. And this goes for phones too. Just wipe it, because sometimes we don't realize that the camera we're using or the phone we're using may have some sort of a smudge on the lens, and that can basically ruin the picture. It makes it blurry. It just doesn't give you optimal pictures. And you guys will, so my rule of thumb is always give it a good wipe. So I just get into those positions that we talked about. I like up close and personal pictures, and then boom, I take my shot. I like to do vertical and horizontal pictures, and I take the shot. These kind of pictures are very good for website pictures, because you can easily eliminate the background. And if you don't want to eliminate the background, a nice clean white background is always good to work with. It's just very uniform, and you can get all of your pictures to look the same. So I always like to take one picture that's standalone. And then I also like to go ahead and add in what these would be considered in this picture is called a prop. I don't want the stick back there. But basically just any sort of herbs or anything that can relate to your picture is what you want to add in. Now, I will say that you don't want your pictures to be busy. Don't do fake flowers or too many herbs because it just confuses the customer and it takes away from the focus of your picture. I chose rose hips for the specific reason that not only is this a rose hip infused item, but people already know and love rose hips. It's not like I would be trying to take an herb that they don't know. For example, if it had horsetail in it, people are kind of like, what is that? Rose hips, roses, certain herbs that people are very familiar with or herbs that are trending are going to get people a lot more excited than others. So you have to choose which ones you're going to use wisely. And then again, I'm gonna get in here, focus my camera, and then take shot number 1, get in close there, and shot number 2. Always, I'm just taking a few pictures here. Give yourself as many pictures as you possibly can. That's gonna give you a lot of variety and more room to work with whenever it comes to choosing which one is gonna make the final cut. And now, let's go ahead and move to our outdoor picture. And now we're outdoors. So let's talk about a few of the, at the end of the video, actually, I'll talk about a few pros and cons of shooting outside versus, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter for pictures. So, but we'll go over those things once we get back inside. But a few things, rules to consider outside. It does not have to be extremely sunny. If it is sunny, that will give you the most optimal lighting. But as you can see out here, it's pretty cloudy, but it's fine. You still want to be, like say if I'm a product, for example, you want your product to be facing the sun or the sun to be directly in front of it, under it, in the best way as possible. If you look, as I turn around, the lighting on me changes depending on where the sun's location is. And optimal is always going to be in front of you, especially when you really want to give shine and highlight some of those textures and just beautiful colors in your pictures. It's going to be better for the product to be right in front of you. So let's go ahead and start taking these pictures. Now, despite all of the nuances of recording outdoors, I absolutely prefer 100% for better pictures to just take the pictures outside. The indoor lighting is good, but and it's a lot less, it's more convenient, it's quiet, you don't have nearly as many things going on, but just even on a cloudy day, you can't beat that natural light, okay? My personal opinion as a photographer. So we're gonna do the same things as we were doing inside. And sorry, just excuse the noise. There's a lot of noisy cars that come through here. Turning on my camera, I focus my picture, and boom, there's one shot. And then let's go ahead and get our props, just a few pieces of rose hips into the picture. And here we go for the shot. There's one. And let's get one more. And there's another one. So one thing, or I should say another thing to be mindful of outside is that because we are in front of the sun and the sun is shining on our product, if it wasn't cloudy today, you would have to, and you can still kind of see it, be mindful of shadows. So there are times where you're gonna come in to get a nice close-up shot. And right here, if the sun was shining, you would be able to see that my shadow was blocking the shot for the picture. So you always wanna make sure that even whenever you get in that in-close shot, you want to move yourself in a way to where you do not cast shadows over your picture. Those cannot be edited out. You will have to take the shoot again. So be mindful of those shadows. So now that we've done the shooting part of the photography, it's not over just yet. Editing is just as important. So I'm gonna show you what few apps that I use on my phone. Some of them are free, some of them you pay for a little bit of upgrades, but Free apps basically that you can use on your phone to give yourself some flawless edits that'll have your pictures looking magazine and website ready. So here we go. Welcome to the editing portion of our photography session. So the editing is equally as important as taking the pictures because the editing is like the cherry on top. It gives your pictures the nice finish that you want them to have. And a lot of people get it mistaken with a lot of photoshopping and changing your pictures. We're not really changing anything to falsify our pictures. What you're gonna see is that I'll enhance a lot of the features that you see on here because the camera doesn't quite pick up what you actually see in person. So if anything, you're cleaning this up a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic. So let's get into what we got going on here. So right now, I'm going to go through my pictures that we took today and select the ones that I want to edit. I'm gonna do one from the outside and one from the inside, just to give you good perspective on which one is gonna ultimately be the better picture. So here's the first picture we started with, and these aren't too bad. I actually like them. But you can definitely see a difference from the indoor pictures. See in there, I probably didn't adjust my camera as much as I needed to, versus the outside pictures. I am personally partial to the outside ones. So let's select this one. And to be fair, I'll select one of the inside ones that is similar to that. And we'll edit the both of these and see what the finished product looks like. So I'm gonna disconnect my camera and we're gonna head over to the Instagram app. Yep, on Instagram is my preferred way of doing the first round of edits. So let's start with see, there's a difference. This one is outside, this one is inside. Out, in. So we'll go ahead and start with the out. And then you're gonna hit edit. And then if you can see, whichever I'm clicking on, this is the brightness. It'll say it at the top of the screen. So I like to turn up the brightness to make it look really clean. But keep in mind that if you turn up the lightness, sometimes you lose contrast in the pictures, or definition, I should say. So we pick that up. I like to straighten the images out as much as possible. And then bring back some of the contrast to give it more definition. Structure can give it sharpness too, which is pretty cool. Sometimes I like to take away the warmth because then you get that brassy yellow look. And it kind of depends on what kind of look you want to go for your pictures. But I tend to like to turn it down a little bit more because when you turn up the saturation, it brings up some of that back. So you get good, rich colors. And this picture still doesn't seem quite straight to me. So I'm going to try and fix it a little bit. There we go. Okay, that looks better. And then bring up some of the sharpness. I like to post and delete simply because it just saves it to my phone. Delete. And then let's go ahead and select the indoor one. So we're gonna do some of the same straightening. Bring up that light. A little bit of contrast. Bring down warmth. Bring up saturation. And that's how you get those good rich colors. I've used other apps for the colorizing and texturizing, and they just don't do it for me the way that this one does. Let's see, it's a little bit more bluish than I like. Okay, so there we go. Nice clean white. We're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna run over to another app that I like to use for editing purposes. And that is, it looks like, it's the one that says PSX, and it's Photoshop Express. So this one, I do some light texturizing and lighting affects sometimes. Okay, so normally I like to come over here to the clarity, and I just like to take it down a little bit. It gives the picture kind of like this, it's hard to describe. like a glow, hazy kind of feeling. I'm also gonna do that cropping, like I said, to center our picture a little bit more. And this right here is the blemish fixer. So if you have anything that you don't like in the picture, let's say for example, bottom right corner, I wanted that rose hip gone, which I don't have a problem with, but just to show you, you can delete it. You can zoom in. You wanna make sure you get your gauge properly, because if not, it will make these weird kind of highlights that are not desirable. But anytime anything gets in the picture that you don't like, or for whatever reason you want to just blotch something out, you can do that. And this has some cool lighting sometimes too, if you wanted to add those into your picture, but they're not necessary, but they can just look cool. I'm not going to be using them for this picture, but I just wanted to show you that feature. So I save that to my gallery by hitting the next button. And then I just go back, and it's already saved, so I don't need to save it further. And then I'm just going to basically do the same things with the indoor picture. Now looking at it a little bit closer, I kind of like the indoor picture a little bit more. I can't lie. And then let's see if we can straighten it out a bit. It's fine. I'm gonna turn down the sharpness. There we go. And I really like the way that this picture looks. You know what, on second thought, I don't like that little blue spot right there. So I'm going to go back and get that. There we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna have to adjust the clarity again because I undid it. Okay, now this looks like a great picture. Save to gallery. And we can kind of get a little side by side here. Finished product, finished product. So the left is inside, the right is outside. Even though I normally tend to prefer outdoor lighting, I do have to say that for this picture, I actually surprised myself and I do like the indoor lighting more, which is interesting. Because while I was taking the pictures, I didn't think I was gonna like them this much, but I do. So that brings a conclusion to the editing portion. Now we're gonna get into some pros and cons about doing photography indoor versus outdoor. All right. So now that we've done both shoots and we know what things look like on the inside versus the outside, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of pros and cons in deciding which one you're going to use. So one of the things with shooting outside that is a con, I would say, is that you have to deal with the elements out there. You can't control the wind, you can't control the heat or anything like that that may affect the shoot. If you're shooting butters, the heat is definitely going to affect you. You're going to have to do things prior, like freezing and refrigeration and just all different kinds of setups to really get as much definition in your picture as you want when using outside lighting. And especially the wind blowing around, if you have papers like I do, if you've ever seen any of my previous videos, a lot of the times I have to get tape and a water bottle to make sure that things stay secure so that they're not flying around in the wind. Same thing with petals or leaves. So outside, it does take a little bit more work and planning and prep because you have to be ready to deal with those elements. For inside, you don't have to deal with the elements and it's pretty convenient. You can set up your shop like I have and I showed you guys and lights, camera, action. However, I will say, even with my new lights, as much as I love them and I adore them, that I still absolutely, for product photography and just photography in general, really adore the type of light that you get with the sun. Even on cloudy days, the light is just optimal and it just can't be beat. I mean, with the editing, you can see how much you have to work with each picture and adjusting to make it look a certain way. But I have to say that when you're shooting outside, there's minimal editing. And even though you have to work a little bit harder for your picture, that's honestly If you are the way that I am about my pictures and you like getting that absolutely perfect, flawless picture, you're gonna wanna use the outside lighting. But it's not always convenient, it's not always possible. Some of us don't live in sunny areas, some of us work in the daytime and can only get off whenever it comes at night. So the indoor lighting is just to give you guys to give everybody a way to be able to have fantastic looking pictures, regardless of your budget or what kind of equipment you do or don't have, and just what your availability is like in general. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to shoot me a message, ask me, comment, however you feel is best to reach out to me, and show me those pictures when you guys do them. I love seeing your work. All right? Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.